You cannot escape from death.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to do a Tekken 8 Season 2 tier list. Usually I stay away from these kind of tier lists because it only brings pure hatred. If you don't make one that's similar to how the general players view the game, it's just asking for unnecessary hatred. So I personally stay away from them, but since people are asking, it's, I guess, in such high demand, I will deliver. I am a Yoshi main. Tekken God of Destruction in Season 2, Tekken God Supreme in Season 1, and in Tekken 7, I was Emperor rank. I am not the best player. I am not a pro player. You can exploit my gameplay if you fight me long enough, but with all that being said, this is just how I see the game and which characters I think are the strongest. Now, I won't go through every single pick, but the one that I will start off with is King. King, in my opinion, is one of the most carried characters in the whole entire game. He's a grappler, but also has some of the best grapples in the whole game. But then he also has some of the best counter hits in the game. In a game where a lot of characters lost their counter hit properties in favor of getting like heat properties. But then also he has some of the best pokes. I know that he doesn't have the best lows. He can't like hatchet kick or down to you like, you know, some of the other characters can. But still he has very powerful tools, and I think it's effective. I think it works, especially when you mix in his power crush and his muscle armor to the whole equation. He ends up being a very nasty amalgamation of a character that not many people can stop. His heat smash also is the most damaging heat smash in the whole game. Really, the whole entire S top row are all relatively equal in terms of power, but there is differences if you want to get into the nitty gritty. Now, another character that I think is super underrated is Heihachi. This character is just wild for so many reasons. His heat smash is one of the best heat smashes in the game. He has one that could break floors and walls. It's kind of like he could choose. Usually a character has weaknesses depending on which map. This guy doesn't do that. And then also one of the biggest questions for Season 3 for me personally is whether or not they'll attack his Ultra Instinct install. It's definitively the most busted, you can argue, mechanic in the whole game, but it's the most busted install in the game. That one install allows Heihachi's to just get a free round, and since they saved that install to the final round, it basically means that they get a lot of free games that they shouldn't get otherwise. You can leave on like maybe no chip damage, but the enhanced frames, the enhanced damage, all of the enhanced properties that's tacked on to that ability, it not only makes labbing him much more difficult. Also keep in mind he's a DLC character, so you have to buy him in order to lab him, but you have to lab him in normal, in heat, and his Ultra Instinct abilities, and that is far too much to ask of an average, casual, normal, you know, non-pro player, which is why you see Heihachi just blow everyone up, and people often refer to him when they're talking about the mix-up gameplay that is Tekken 8. Now, another character is Eddie. I did a lot of labbing of Eddie in preparation for my battle with D, and even though I lost, I still was able to make Eddie one of my most knowledgeable matchups in the game. If you look at my profile, you can see that I destroyed pretty much every Eddie that I come across now, and I can definitively say that this character is just like true 50-50 vortex. He is quite possibly the worst example of Tekken 8 in Tekken 8. But then also super overpowered installs, and then the risk versus reward is heavily skewed against the opponent. You can block something that would have destroyed you, but then you get just a little punish, or sometimes you have to crouch at the very perfect time, and if not, you get destroyed, or you have to jab. Some of these things apply to other characters as well, but I'm just saying for him, this is why I placed him in the top. Jun Kazama is a crazy character as well. I think them reworking her install the way that they did was a bad idea, and I would love to see it go back the other direction. I think she has high combo damage. She's very good at controlling the pacing. She is more safe than she should be. She has these very long strings that you have to kind of guess and, you know, pay very close attention to how they end, and depending on that, you can either launch her or you just have to, like, you know, take a small punish. I think that this character should do less damage if she's going to control so much space and be so string heavy. For my character Yoshimitsu, I think he's also one of the strongest characters in the game as well. When I play Tekken 8, a lot of the times it's very effortless and it's very easy. Never before has Yoshimitsu been so unfulfilling. In past games, when he was a weaker character, it was much more satisfaction overcoming the obstacle that is the other characters. In this game, he is the obstacle. If Yoshimitsu launches you and takes you to the wall, you basically lose. Now, a lot of people point to the low unblockable for causing that situation, but I would say yes, that is the problem. But what's even bigger problem that made Yoshimitsu the way that he is the way that they changed walls in Tekken 8. The wall tornado, the forward 1+2 that Yoshimitsu has, a lot of these tools just makes what he does better. Yoshimitsu in Tekken 7, his greatest strength was wall oki. His greatest weakness was wall travel, was bad damage, was bad lows, was bad frames. In Tekken 8, he could take you all the way to the wall while risking very little, and then with the wall buff, you kind of just lose. So I would like for Yoshimitsu to be nerfed, but I also think they would have to change the way that Tekken 8 works for him to truly be impacted, because his setups is kind of infinite. You see pro players every single day coming up with new ways to kill with Oki. And one is because of how many moves he has, but then two, with how infinite possibilities there are with him. Another character that I think is really, really high is both Armor King and Lei. I think these characters are very underrated. They're very downplayed. I think they have great counter hit tools. I think they have very good keep out tools. I think that Armor King has very good wall travel, great damage on top of it, but then also he has that grab mix up he could do at the wall to make you guess. But then Lee, he has Hitman Slide, which is very tricky to stop. Pro players can do it easily, but in an online era, you put some lag in there, it's pretty much like a heat seeking missile that won't miss. But then his wall oki. In season 2, they gave him these heat enhanced attacks, which just makes surviving at the wall a little bit more tricky to do. But then also he has these weird reset combos where if you get up in the wrong way, you're splat back up on the wall. The only other thing that is a problem with him as well is his combos that lead to the wall and end in a wall spike that gives pretty good oki and unscaled damage. I have Reina placed at the top of the low end, and really the low end is just S-. All these characters are truly broken. But the reason why Anna is leading the pack here is because yes, she doesn't have that many tools, but she doesn't need it. Her forward 4-2 is strong enough to take down pretty much any opponent. If you master that, you can win. We saw this happen even at the highest of high levels, where a Pakistani Reina player beat Arslan Ash with solely forward 4-2. If you think I'm lying, Google it, look up the match, and watch the second match and see if Arslan isn't just getting forward 4-2 looped over and over and over again. If it can happen to Arslan, it can happen to anyone, and it does. I think if they fixed her forward 4-2, but then gave her more options to play, people will be more unique with her. She's a good character. She isn't broken, like truly like Anna, but she has her own strengths, and if you play to those strengths, you can win. Characters like Leroy, Fang, Dragunov, those characters are just perfect all-around characters with no real weakness, but there's characters in the game who do what they do, but better. Devil Jin, people argue, is one of the worst characters in the game, but that is more so thinking about the game at a competitive level. If you look at the game in an online sense, right, throwing some lag, throwing some lack of skill, lack of knowledge, Devil Jin becomes one of the most deadliest characters in the game. Statistically, that's a fact. And the reason why is because his gameplay revolves around heavy mix-ups, and he gets a lot off of it. He can control the space the same way Jun Kazama can, flying at you. I know that when Devil Jin flies at you, you can jab and stop him and float him. And I've been trying to do it, and a lot of the times it results in me getting hit. It's very difficult to do. Usually when people talk about Devil Jin and a character like Kazuya as well, they say these characters should be buffed. But this is where I would disagree and say that the rest of the roster should be brought down to their level. And you can even take some things away from them as well. Like for Kazuya, one person in my chat said, "What is the powerful thing about Kazuya? Why do you always reference him?" And the reason why I reference him is because Kazuya players pretend as if he is basically useless in this game, which is not true. His combo damage can be pretty good. The things that about him that I think is the real problem, and this is stuff that I would like to see gone in Tekken 8 Season 3, is his ability to gain heat off of hell sweeps. No character should be able to gain heat off their attacks. Law is the most egregious with this, where he can activate heat, launch you, and gain full heat with the combos that he do, the way that he uses nunchuck. And then he has Heat Smash to seal the deal if need be. But a lot of the other characters who gain heat as well, from Lily to Azazina, this is something that they can abuse and leverage over characters who cannot do the same thing in return. I also think that Kazuya should not be able to do, down back 1-2 and launch you off the ground. Fundamentally, a thing like that should not exist in Tekken. Brian Fury can do the same thing where he can launch you off the ground. Yoshimitsu can do a similar thing because you have to go into Kencha in order to do it. So you have to either end your combo in Kencha, or your opponent has to be so afraid to where they don't want to stand, and then you go into Kencha, which once again is very easy to do because if you threaten them with low unblockable enough, they'll give up. All of these characters really are so similar, so putting them in order like this kind of does a disservice to all of them and what they truly shine at and what they don't shine at. But this is pretty much it. Let me know what you think about my tier list.